more sales come off it. There's so many benefits. It will build you a bigger business in many, many ways by having a rent roll. Now, there's not a lot of income in the beginning and there's more expenses than profits. We found it took us to about 300 to be breaking even, and then maybe a bit of profit at around 400. If you're a selling principal, you should not be doing this yourself.
Yeah.
I thought of the 3 biggest tips that we could give anyone that was going to start a rent roll, right? And that first one would be, agents, welcome to the Get Keen podcast, your #1 destination for learning how to get the most out of your real estate career. I'm Dan Lee, founder of Plum Property, one of Queensland's largest independent real estate offices, and Plum Partners, where we've helped dozens of agents create, run and grow their very own agencies. On Get Keen, I chat to high-performing agents, principals, and agency owners, so you have the tools, strategies, and insights to grow your business and live the best life for yourself and your family. Now let's get keen. All right, we're back with Get Keen, and you're keen to improve your real estate career. That's why you're here. And today I am taking you down a bit of a different angle than usual. We're going to talk about rent rolls in real estate businesses. And I've got the best person to speak to about that, my own business partner, Dylan, who you may have come across in episode 7 when we talked about business partnerships and how important they can be and how well we've used our business partnership to grow. But I wanted to get Dylan on to have a chat with him today because we started Plum Property together back in 2016 as a small agency. I was a high-performing agent at a bigger company, an LJ Hooker business, and I left, and I was living with Dylan at the time. We'd been best friends for about however long. Was it 20 years? Something like that.
Yeah.
And I said, Dylan, I'm going to start my own real estate business. And Dylan was, wrapping up his old business at the time and said, oh, well, got nothing better to do. I'll give it a shot with you. It just happened to be by chance. It's been the greatest partnership ever, better than Elon Musk and Trump, and hopefully
Thanks,
ends
Dan.
even better,
Yeah.
right? But we went into this business, and I was the sales guy. So we're just doing it in an apartment, like a 2-bed apartment. We didn't have a commercial premises or anything like that. And I said to Dylan when we were going to start the business, he said, well, what should I do? And I said, well, you start the rent roll. Like I want to build a rent roll. I know how to get the leads. It's easy. And easy, huh?
Yeah. It was a steep learning curve for probably for me especially, but I think a bit of a reality check on that side.
Yeah, well, basically I threw Dylan in the deep end because I said, mate, this is going to be easy. I sell about 30 properties a year to investors.
You sold me.
I sold him big time. I sold myself. I genuinely didn't think it would be that hard. I was like, how hard can it be? I'll get the leads. I'll pretty much close them. You just get them signed up. We manage them. How hard can that be? Because literally, I worked in an agency for 9 years. I knew nothing about property management. It had nothing to do with it like most agents. All I knew was flick the lead over when you've got one to the BDM. They'll convert it. Then I get a little payout, like a week's rent or whatever. That's what I knew. And I knew how many conversions like I could potentially get for our own business. I was like, well, if I can sell 30 a year to investors, maybe we'll get, 25 at least of those. That's a good start. And then we build from there. And so didn't really think about all the challenges that came with it.
Yeah.
But I knew I had the guy who was going to be dedicated, who was going all in with me, and I knew we'd figure it out.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Not without a lot of headaches.
Yeah.
You having more of those headaches. But I wanted to talk about all of that, the challenges we faced, the mistakes we made, the good and the bad. And, this episode's great for agents or principals, either who want to start a rent roll or agents who have just started one and need some help and just hear how our experience was. Or those that just want to level up. We're going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly of rent roll growing. We now have a rent roll at Plum Property, all organically grown, which we started in 2016. And that's around 850 now.
Yeah.
850. We've had some good years, some bad years. We've had everything thrown at us. We've had staff troubles. We've had great staff. We've had awful staff. We've had great owners, awful owners. We've had periods where we've lost so many properties over COVID. Is all the ups and downs. So, we want to share that story and help you guys with your own rent roll journey. So let's go back to the beginning. We started the business and we had no experience. We were in an apartment. Our first rental, I think, was my own. Yeah. And then, I started selling a few and I just flicked them over. We didn't even have like we kept the keys in a drawer.
Yeah, that's probably not to code,
Definitely wasn't to code. We just had a drawer in the office with all the keys in there. When we got to about 30, I said, mate, we really got to do something about this. And you looked at me and just nodded. Yep, it's time. We actually got a key rack or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, like figuring it out was pretty tough, actually.
It was. I think with the software we chose to, like we were on console, which, people that have been in the industry for a while would remember that, which is kind of the, that legacy, old school kind of way for managing the properties.
It was dog shit.
Yeah, I think if you'd sort of trained on it.
I don't want to, I hate putting people down or anything, but that was the old version of that software.
Yes, yeah.
And it was so bad.
And when we signed on it, it was like, console cloud's coming. You guys will be on this for a few months.
Yeah.
The cloud's coming. So we went, they had the market share. And I guess that was, when you're talking about mistakes, that was probably the first one.
Oh, man.
We didn't do a whole lot of research. There probably was better options at the time.
Well, we got sold because they had so much market share.
Yeah.
Literally, like, this is before cloud programs came out, and then there was, like, Property Tree. Property Me wasn't out then.
No, it wasn't. But I think...
It was Property Tree. It was... Our choices were Property Tree, Console, which was the old version, not the new Console Cloud.
Yeah.
And one other I can't remember.
Yeah.
And we were tying up between Property Tree, which was a newer cloud thing, and Console. But Console had the market share. They had like 85% of agencies use it. And this was real. There were so many agencies on it because that dominated the industry before the cloud stuff. And we just got sold, didn't we, to take the industry lead. And they promised us that Console Cloud was just around the corner.
Yeah.
Well, we sat on this old shitty software that was so slow and crashed all the time for about 2 years before, about a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half, I think.
Before we made the change.
Yeah.
And then we changed to Property Me, which has been way better.
Yeah, that's definitely a software we recommend at the moment. I think it's one of the best ones for sure.
Yeah, and look, we have no affiliation with Property Me. They're getting benefit out of us saying this. We're not getting anything.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone from Property Me hears this. At least give me a call and say thanks. But I'd probably recommend going with that software of all of the ones that are out there personally.
Yeah.
We got our first few rentals. And look, getting rental leads wasn't that hard, hey?
No, not when you were selling. You had pretty good sales volume. And especially with looking at it, I think you focused a little bit more. It's just an extra question that that to ask to everyone who comes through, and I think we were picking them up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and when you're the sales agent for the property to the investor, you build the relationship with the buyer, and then it's quite easy to say, hey, we do property management. Do you want us to look after that as well? So we would convert at least probably, I would say at least 8 out of 10 of them.
Yeah.
Even as a small agency with not much online.
Yeah.
We didn't even have a premises because the relationship was there. But I was very naive, and you had no idea. You were just trusting me. But I was so naive about the difficulties and how much work went into building and maintaining the rent roll.
Yeah. It's lots of challenges, but it was a lot of fun too. I think in some ways I think it was good coming at it with fresh eyes too, because we, as we've grown, we've pulled in experienced people that have had a property management career elsewhere, and there is they come with, this is how it's done, when you sold for another agency, like you have an idea of how things are done, but it's not necessarily the correct way. And I think it gave us a chance to really start from scratch. And there were a lot of things that agencies were doing that when we looked at it, we're like, actually why is it like that? And you could approach it a little bit differently, which gave us a point of difference from the start, I think.
That's so true. But based on our experience, right, and I don't want to put people off building rent roll, but I do want people to understand like how much work it is and how important it is to get the right people and the right systems to help you build it. Because as a selling principle, I think it's near impossible to be really high performing in sales and to be trying to build and run a rent roll without great support. And then we've seen ourselves firsthand. Some principals try and do it themselves, and not actually have a great support person who can manage the rent roll, and they just get stuck in the weeds.
A good way to look at it, and what we talk about with some people when they're asking us about that is, you look at, if you're a high performing sales agent, look at what your actual effective hourly rate is. Your income divided by how many hours a week you work, and then go, well, if you're spending that time is is your most valuable thing, and if you're getting drawn into setting up your property management business, and you're dealing with sort of problems that could be handled by somebody that doesn't have the earning potential that you do, then it's the opportunity cost of trying to save money by not hiring somebody potentially. It's just wasting time.
Yeah, exactly. And just the thought, you don't think that there's going to be a lot of work around a rental, but there's two different parties that want stuff done. There's maintenance issues.
Yeah.
When there's no problems, that it can be easy.
Yeah.
But a property with a problem can take up all your time. And that's where you kind of get unstuck when you get, 20, 30 properties. There might be 18 of them are just running smooth, but 2 of them have an owner and a tenant arguing about something, or, some massive maintenance issue and the owner's just not repairing it, and the tenant's blowing up about it. And those situations, if you are a selling principal and you're getting caught up in this stuff, it can take your whole day away.
Yeah.
And
I think, also just the amount of compliance and you look at some of the PM systems, processes, things that happen, there might be a 20-step thing, involved with what seems like a relatively straightforward task. There's a bunch of things that if you don't do them, and when you're small, you can kind of, you sort of wing it. And if a lot of it's preventative, so when stuff goes wrong, you've got all the backup and it's there to fix it. And when you're small, you don't have all of that stuff set out, and you can skip over a few things. And if something happens, it's a probability game. But the bigger your exposure, the more chance that something will go wrong. It's, when we had 100 properties, we'd never had a fire in any of our properties. It wasn't so it would be easy to be complacent about smoke alarm compliance or something like that. Thankfully we, by that stage, had experienced PMs and they'd, been in bigger agencies and were really, up to it with the compliance side of things. But now the time we've been running, there's been at least 3 fires. Thankfully, nobody's been hurt in any of them, and everything's been up to date compliance wise. But it does happen, and it'd be easy to just think like,
we
it's
had
never
a whole
going to happen.
unit that set on fire, completely destroyed.
Well,
right?
more of a townhouse. The whole thing.
The whole townhouse burnt down. Almost took down another car. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
And imagine if you're an agency that wasn't up to date with the compliance or whatever. It could take down the owner. It could take down your business.
That was a faulty iron.
And
that did that. You think that auto switch off on the iron? Don't trust it.
I wonder if it was a cheap iron. Probably.
I don't know. They all seem pretty cheap.
Yeah. It's true. I don't know how Kmart makes money.
Like $20. You're like,
kettle $9. What the fuck? So based on all these experiences, I thought of just the 3 biggest tips that we could give anyone that was going to start a rent roll.
Yeah.
Right. And that first one would be, if you're a selling principal, you should not be doing this yourself.
Yeah.
In fact, in my opinion, you should have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Because you're selling I was the selling principal for our 2-man agency, right? I made all the money. Not to say that your work wasn't money and business
Oh, it's a
generating. Don't
liability,
take
is
that
it?
the wrong way. But without my sales, the business didn't
Generate
anything.
Yeah.
You know, getting a couple of rentals and getting $60 a week for them isn't going to keep your business doors open.
Asset value, though.
Yeah, asset value. Asset value one day, right? But like if you're selling print, you need that income, right?
Yeah.
That income is going to build the business. It's that enabled us to, you know, provide salary for you, allow us to get a BDM, you know, invest in marketing. So if you're a selling principal, nothing's more important than you just continuing bringing in that income, bringing in that money into the business. So you got to be dedicated to sales, and you just can't step over into the property management and be spending even 10%, 20% of your time over there, because it's going to make your sales suffer. It's going to bring down the income of the business. So you're best off either doing what we did and partnering up with someone and you know, going a percentage each in the business and having, you know, an actual business partner who completely takes control of it, or you find that key person that has possibly, and it's not essential, but it's better if they've got some property management
100%.
experience
Yeah.
and a bit of personality so they can close business.
Yeah.
Right, and they can be your property manager / BDM to start, but they're in it for the long haul. You don't want someone that could just skip out on you in the first, you know, after 4 months when you've got 30 properties, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry, I'm going overseas. I don't want to do this anymore."
Yeah. I think it's not a side hustle. Like if you want to, and I think it's fine to decide that you're not going to do rentals. Like, 'cause I think some principals, you know, in a business, they might think you as a agency, you have to have a rental, like that's what a real estate agency has. But, you know, we've seen a lot of really good agencies that don't, you know, you can set up a relationship with a rental agency and you can have a, you know, something that works for everyone there.
Yeah, absolutely. Profit share on referrals and a back and forth like sales referral, rental referral deal, which is fine.
But if you're going to do the rent roll, it's just you know, it's a real effort. It's a separate business, and you just go, you know, treat it that way, and you know, not just a side hustle to your sales business, because it'll just cause you more. It's really only going to benefit your agency at scale, and to get it to scale is going to require more. It's going to be more of an investment than a revenue generating thing.
Yeah, and we'll expand on that a little more, because I've got out the 3 biggest mistakes we've seen agents make and what we made coming down, but it has to do with that sort of side hustle mentality of a rent roll.
Yeah,
you've got to go all in. If you're not all in and you don't have someone full-time dedicated from the beginning, it's probably going to work out badly for you.
And what you said there about a business partner or someone, you know, I think it is, when you're that small, it's going to need a little bit more than an employee. Like some people will give more than, you know, what's fair to actually expect of an employee.
Yeah.
You know, they're great people to have in your business, but you know, if you don't have that person, because they're going to be wearing 3 hats, you know, because they're not just in a big agency. It's quite defined, the role. When you've got a small rent roll and they're the property manager, they're doing a bit of BDM, they're the receptionist, they're doing some leasing, they, you know, maybe they're doing trust accounting, or you know, whatever, they're wearing all of those hats. If it's going to mean they can't leave at 5 p.m. every day, you know, they're going to have to do more.
It's going to be someone that's really dedicated. So, and I don't know how it is, whether you're paying them really well or you're giving them maybe an equity share in the business growth or something like that, but there's got to be an incentive for them to go, I'm in with this. Bad thing to do would be start a rent roll and just hire the first property manager that you think's good and go, I've got a property manager now, I'm sorted.
Exactly.
Because if that person doesn't have real buy-in to your business, they're not guaranteed to stick around. And what happens when you get to 20 or 30 rentals and they pack up and leave? You have a big problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're the licensee. Ultimately, the buck stops with you. So it's, you know, we were talking about buyers if a fire happens, and who are they going to come looking for when the smoke alarms aren't compliant?
Also, like you're out there selling, you lose your property manager, you got 20 rentals, you're pulled into it. You've got to sort it out, and you don't even know what you're doing.
They're probably your clients, they've got your mobile number and they're calling.
And now they're calling you. Your property manager's left. You're trying to figure out all these. You don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah,
massive problem. Hey guys, just quickly, if you're loving this content and you're a real estate agent that's already thinking what it might be like to have your own real estate business and brand, then check out the show notes. There'll be a link to our Plum Partners website where you can leave an inquiry and me or one of my team members will reach out. We help agents to create, run, and grow their own real estate business and brand so they can earn more and set up a better future for themselves. So get keen, get in touch. Now let's get back to the episode. So another thing I think is really important, another big tip, is to make sure that you got enough sales going on in your business when you start a rent roll. It's going to be much harder to grow your rent roll if you're either doing no sales. I mean, that's really hard because you've got to basically find rental leads in other ways, like, business breakfasts and, lots of networking and things like that. But, for us, like I was doing 60, 70 deals a year. And I knew 50% of them were selling to investors. I knew straight off the bat, I'm going to have 30 a year, really good, solid leads for our business. If we can convert 25 of them, there's at least 25 we're going to get in 12 months. And then, so you got to have a lot of good sales activity is going to make it way easier.
I think so. I mean, the flip of that is you could argue for an advantage of being a rentals only business, in making those relationships with other sales agents, with, buyers agencies and all those, because you're not a threat on the sales side. So you definitely, I think it's more straightforward with a strong sales team. It's just, the leads are coming in, and we were fortunate for that. But if you're starting one without that, you just have to completely change your script.
That's right. Well, you change your prospecting methods. It's more about networking and that sort of stuff. But when you're a sales agent, you don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
You're listing and selling. So it's either you're a sales agent, you're getting leads from your sales, or you're starting one with not a sales team. You're not a salesperson. You're going to have to find other avenues. And we know some great business owners, John O'Bell being one of Housemark. He's got 2,500. He's never been a salesperson in real estate. Going back to that, if you're a salesperson or sales principal that's not high performing, and when I say that, I mean, like, if you're doing probably less than 50 deals a year, like, I know there's selling principals out there with small businesses that might sell 20 properties, they're making 500 GCI. That's fine. You can keep a 1 or 2 man band afloat in sales doing that. But if that's going to be your lead generation source when you're only selling 20 properties a year, again, I think you're going to struggle. You're just not going to have the volume of leads coming in, and you're either going to have to hire someone else to go and find leads or get someone else to go and try and do that networking. But having a high sales volume, I think, is important for the selling principal to be able to flick those leads over.
Yep, massively.
The third tip I thought of that we did really well was reviews.
Yeah.
Really focusing on getting our reviews up for every rental. Google reviews, realestate.com reviews. I mean, if you go to our Google profile, we have more reviews than any other agency in Brisbane. As far as I can see, I mean, I've done a quick search to see if I could find any company that's got more reviews than us, and I can't find it on Google. And most of them are property management. And that really helped to just, build trust in people that were looking at us, and, our BDMs, when they're out there, they can show people, hey, look at what our clients are saying.
I think you've really got to put effort into that, because as soon as you open a PM department under, that's attached to the sales business, so same brand, same company, there's your chance of negative reviews is much higher, because, we're representing the owners on the PM side, the tenants on the other side, but they've got the ability to write the reviews as well. So your exposure to bad reviews. So if you want your agency to at least maintain a good standing on Google, if you don't put a focus on actively chasing down good reviews, then you're going to get a bunch of negative ones just by default that you can't help but upset some tenants because you're representing the owner. Yeah. So that's a big one is is to make sure you're chasing down lots of reviews
Yeah.
to outweigh or balance out any negative ones you might get. And we've been fortunate that we're still 4.9, I think.
Yeah, and look, we put a lot of effort into
Yeah.
it. So, some of the things that we've done is we reward staff for getting 5-star reviews. We reward them with bonuses. We, highlight it in team meetings. We congratulate them in front of other people in the office. Like, we make it a big spectacle, reviews, and we always have. And it just keeps people really keen on making them. Because the hardest part about getting reviews is actually just getting your staff to get them.
Yeah. And your staff are probably doing a great job.
Yeah.
And if they ask the question, people are probably happy to provide a review, but you have to ask the question.
Yeah.
Especially for PMs, it might be a little bit more awkward for them. People in the sales team are used to a bit of rejection and a bit of, that, those awkward conversations, but training your PMs to get comfortable with that is, and they feel great about it too.
Yeah.
So it does, even though they might be a little bit hesitant to do it, once it's in the culture, they actually get a lot of really lovely things said, and PM can be a thankless job a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And even though you've asked someone to say something nice, when they do, and you can tell it's genuine, I think it boosts the morale of the team.
Yeah, good call. What about some mistakes we've made?
Oh, we've made heaps.
Yeah, we've made a few.
Where do you want to start?
So I was just thinking we start with HR mistakes.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's always something that you get better at, but we've always said it's always hard to tell just from an interview, how someone's going to be. So to say that you're going to nail a hire every time, from an interview and a CV and a few reference checks, I think it's hard to do. But I think you can see the red flags early on and don't tolerate things that don't align with your business, I guess. And we fallen into that trap because getting rid of someone, they might have just started 2 months ago, and we had a pretty good example of this early on. It was one of the first people we hired, and and some people that are sort of seasoned employees that they take advantage of small businesses in some ways, I think, because there's a bit more trust there, and there's a bit more autonomy. They don't have, we're busy doing stuff, so there's nobody really managing them as much. So there is the ability for them to take advantage of that. So
yeah, that's a big thing that we've learned is we've had both experiences, both with like someone coming in and really just kind of bringing down the culture very quickly, gossiping, making alliances, turning people against each other really quickly. And we, within weeks was happening.
Yeah.
And we let it carry on for months before we made the move to, move them on. If that stuff's happening in the first couple of weeks, that's a massive red flag.
Yeah.
And you should probably just get it, because the situation got way worse for us keeping them around. And then we've had another person that was probably in our business way too long, that was good at one point, and then, but yeah, as you said, just for too long with too many chats and warnings, just really not stepping up to the plate. And we probably kept them longer than we needed, just because we thought, it's just too hard to look for someone else. Right?
Yeah.
But you should, we learned from that, because by moving them on, we were able to, make new positions and find some other great people.
And I think the key thing is the people. You build your business around your people, and we've been really lucky. We've got a bunch of people that have been with us for over 5 years that have really helped us build.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Like, really thankful. When you get the great employees, look after them.
Yeah.
You gotta, it's really hard to find good employees of any type, really. Property management has become harder to find great people. So when you do find them, you've got to treat them well. You've got to respect them and appreciate them and show them the love, because they deserve it. It's a tough job. And if you can have great property managers in your business long term and have great retention, that's, going to benefit you massively. And it costs a lot of money with recruiters these days.
Yeah.
One other thing I thought about was us keeping unprofitable clients for too long.
Definitely. I think obviously at the start you don't want to say no to anybody, and if someone's keen or willing to let you manage their investment, it's an opportunity. You take it on. We've definitely had scenarios where we knew they weren't a good fit for the business, and in some ways you because you're representing them to the market and to the tenants and everyone, if you sort of keep them on even if their morals don't align with yours, sometimes you might find yourself in a position, and it's happened to us, where you're employed because they want to do stuff that isn't necessarily ethical.
Yeah.
And you've really just got to watch yourself and not you know, it's not worth it. The amount of trouble you get yourself into, you've got to just sort of make a call on it, because that's your reputation as well. Even though you're taking instruction, you know, you can't do anything that's you know, that's against the legislation, and you just need to make sure that you don't carry owners that want to behave like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember one in particular that, you know, there was a balustrade, or there was a balcony that was a bit dodgy. And we kept asking them, you know, you've really got it. We don't think this is safe. The tenants complained. We've got things in writing from the tenant. And the owner just kept ignoring us, putting it off, saying they were going to fix it and then not doing it. And then, you know, you can't just keep that property just because, you know, we dropped that property because we thought, no, we're not going to carry that liability, and that doesn't align. We got to look after people. What if that person had a child? Like, what? We've got to look after these tenants, you know.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, and owners will do that to you. They'll put that burden on you. They'll try and rent their really unsatisfactory living condition unit out and try and get you to turn a blind eye, but you can't do it.
Look, and I think the legislation's changed with minimum housing standards recently, which has has tightened things up a little bit, but it is definitely something to be wary of.
So I've probably scared heaps of people about starting a rent roll. But don't. Look, the long-term vision is great, and I don't have regrets about starting a rent roll. Now, you know, we're 850 strong, organic. Let's talk about the benefits.
Yeah.
First one being that asset value. If we were to sell the business, that asset, 850, I don't want to talk money, but it's decent.
Yeah.
It's something that we're going to retire on one day. So that asset value is really good. And just to give you an example, on average, about 200 rentals in Australia on average is worth about $1.2 million if you were to sell it. That's an average. So, you know, that's one of the big benefits. But other benefits, it's a recurring income. Now, there's not a lot of income in the beginning, and there's more expenses than you know, profits. We found it took us to about 300 to be breaking even, and then maybe a bit of profit at around 400.
It's always the case where you can probably make it profitable, but if you want to grow, you know, you don't want to push everything to the limit, because you need to have space. Like, it depends what stage. If you could settle at 300 and make it profitable, you know, but if you want to go to 400, then you have to have the staff to be sort of gearing up for that.
Yeah, that's right. Usually you have to have more staff to handle a big influx of properties, not do it the other way around. Yeah, so growth costs money. But thirdly, like, it makes your brand bigger.
Yep.
You know, we've got 850 rentals. They're all most of them in the same area. That's 850 extra signboards that go out every couple of years. You know, it's more attractive for salespeople to join you because, you know, you've got a rent roll and they might get a few leads off that. They can flick their leads over, get referral fees, or be part of that growth. And then the property's managed by the company they work for. So if they ever list it, make it easier to list the property because we've got the relationship there. You know, more sales come off it. There's so many benefits. It will build you a bigger business in many, many ways by having a rent roll. And if you ever want to exit the business, there's something for you at the end. Yeah,
and of the ones of the, you know, inevitably a bunch are going to sell every year, and I think ours is 75% of ones that sell with us or an agent in our office. So
it's more than that. It's 80. It's over 85%.
There you
sell
go.
with us.
Even better.
I did the stats, mate. Didn't you do the stats?
Well, I didn't do the prep. You just sprung this on me.
Yeah. So, it's guaranteed sales. So, if we've got 850, we lose 1% a month, and that's what a good agency will typically lose a month. And not from bad service, every now and again, but usually it's people moving back in, or the parents say, oh, my kids are moving in, or they sell it. So let's say half of those sell. There's 4 rentals that our business sells every month, which then feeds the sales team, keeps our team busy, and we get the rental income. We get the sales income from that. We do lose the business value of those investments if they sell to an owner-occupier, but that's okay. We'll pick up others through the sales process, and sometimes we sell it off to another investor again, so it stays on the rent roll. So that's always good. I thought we'd just quickly finish off with, we've built Plum Partners now, so we help agents to launch their own business, grow their brand, do their back end, and we've also got quite a few of our partners that have launched rent rolls. And Dylan is actually the sort of head of the property management launch procedure for Plum Partners. So he helps agents to launch their rent roll business. What are some of the things that Plum Partners can do to help an agent launch their own rent roll?
I guess it's just drawing on that experience and remembering back to when we started and all the things that would have helped us enormously. All the hundreds of mistakes that we may have made along the way, just helping our clients avoid all of those. Which software to choose, sorting out the trust accounting, systems and processes, marketing, strategies, HR, like hiring, training of staff, all that stuff that, you can figure it out yourself, but it's just the time investment to do that, and the cost of the mistakes you make along the way as you figure it out yourself. It's just offering a roadmap to build really quickly and be prepared for that growth.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the big thing that we are trying to do, is fast track agents, by helping them avoid the mistakes we made, the costly mistakes, which cost us not just money, but time. If I could do this whole journey again, I reckon we could do it, 30% faster by avoiding those mistakes, So, mate, thank you. Anyone who needs some property management advice, if you're looking to start your own rent roll, if you're looking to get into Plum Partners and start your rent roll, give Dylan a call. I'm going to put his phone number here, 0408 018 920.
It's pretty good.
Can you believe I remember that?
I don't know. I reckon you got it written down over there.
Nah, it's because, like, when we were at school and we didn't have
the same
mobiles.
Number. Yeah.
I had to memorize, all my favorite numbers. So I still know my parents' numbers and a few of my mates. Yours is just one I've always stuck in my head because I used to call you all the time at school. So, hey, mate.
On the Nokia 3310.
Let's go watch a movie. Yeah. I didn't even have a mobile until grade 12. Anyway, let's wrap this up. This has been good.
Cool.
See ya. Thank you for tuning into the Get Keen podcast. If today's episode inspired you, please show your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And make sure you subscribe on your favorite platform too. Don't stop there. Join our community of forward thinkers by connecting with me on social media at Dan_Lee_Plum. I'm looking forward to exploring more strategies and insights with you on your journey to the top. Until next time, keep getting keen.